Hello and welcome to the Trevor Roberts Talk Fest podcast. Thank you for tuning in with me tonight. We're going to talk about The Bachelor Women Tell All and The Bachelor season finale, where Joey chooses Kelsey A. Very cool. Pretty much called Kelsey A was going to be the one chosen about halfway back. It became very obvious that she was at the top of his list. I do think that Daisy really gave it a run for her money to the point where I thought there was a chance he picked Daisy. And then also Maria really was kind of that like wild card in there where you never really knew what was going to happen with Maria. Um, it definitely seemed like he had a soft spot for Rachel, and then he ends up saying that he just didn't quite have those love romantic feelings for Rachel, which makes complete sense for what we got to see. We're going to take about 10 steps back and, like I said, go to the Women Tell All and kind of work our way through the Women Tell All and then work our way through the season finale. We'll talk about some different things on the way. I've got a lot of notes. I'm in no hurry tonight, so this one could be a long one. I've had some family in town the last couple of weeks. My wife's mom came for 10 days and stayed with us up in Washington. And then my wife's sister and her husband came and stayed with us for about 4 days in the middle of the 10 days that her mom was here. So we just had a really good time. We went and visited some of the outdoor areas nearby. Went out to eat a couple of times. Went into Seattle. We took the ferry. Checked out Bainbridge, Gig Harbor. Again, some fun restaurants. Got some fun food. Just spent quality time together, and it was great. Um, for anybody that doesn't know, my wife and I and our two daughters moved from Nebraska in September to Washington State. So it's just been quite a change for us being up here in Washington. We absolutely love it, but we do miss family. We went back home for a little bit there over the holidays, went back to Nebraska. Then we got back, and it just feels like things are rocking and rolling out here. And we had our first visitors come stay with us, which was awesome. Was trying to figure out how to do the podcast while we had visitors, but this room, the podcast room, kind of doubles as the guest room. So I was like, no problem, I'll just do it somewhere else. Um, but it just, your routine kind of gets thrown to a loop when you have people staying with you, which we absolutely want people to come stay with us. So I'm just going to have to figure out how to change up the podcast schedule when we have people. But I still want to just go back through and do the Women Tell All and talk about the season finale. Um, Joey is quite possibly the best bachelor that they've had, if not the best bachelor in a long time. He's the best bachelor I think I've seen ever, and I've only gone back maybe 7 seasons, but I think we learned that it's like 22 years they've been having this franchise. I'm not sure how many bachelors that is because I think they might do maybe one or two a year sometimes, but um, they've had quite a few. And he was really great. He really didn't make a mistake the entire way. He didn't hurt anyone's feelings. He was very, very considerate, very compassionate. His biggest fear was that he would give love and it wouldn't be reciprocated, which, if you think about it, that is a big possibility on the show because people are going on the show to get some of that influencer fame, which, I don't think anyone can blame them because we now know that pretty much that's going to come along with it. And also, just like, when you're going on shows like this, there's always kind of a desire for that. Joey may have had a desire for that when he went on charity season, but I do actually think that Joey wanted to find love at the end of this. He convinced me, and I think that Kelsey A did too. They had some influencer vibes a little bit. They've done some posting on their Instagrams, but not a lot. In fact, I don't know if it's just my feed, my algorithm, but I'm getting a lot more of Daisy than I am of Joey, and I'm not really getting much of Kelsey A at all. So It feels good. It feels right. And I saw that they did go on a podcast together and they talked about how they almost spoiled their show. I didn't see any of that. I intentionally don't do much research during the middle of the season because I don't want it to be spoiled as I'm going through it. Um, Today is Easter, by the way. It was our first Easter that we celebrated away from the family out here in Washington, and we woke up. We had some um, stuff planned, but we kind of threw some things together last minute, and it just makes me think about, my childhood growing up. Everything was always like seemed to be so well done. It was like I woke up and we had painted eggs the night before, and then when I woke up, the Easter bunny had come, and the bunny had hidden the eggs. And there was a mixture of the painted eggs that were actually hard boiled that you could eat, and then there was plastic eggs that had candy in them. And then not only that, but you got an Easter basket that the bunny brought. And not only that, but mom and dad probably like made a nice breakfast. And then we had an Easter egg hunt, and we probably got a new part of the basket was we got like your Sunday Easter outfit. And so, you'd have the egg hunt, you'd have breakfast, check out your goodies, then you go put on your new outfit, you'd get all dressed and ready, and then you go over to grandma's house and you'd have this huge spread of food and see your cousins and all kinds of stuff. Probably get more Easter baskets from grandparents. Um, and so just everything that goes into that, like my wife and I are like, okay, this is all on us. Like there isn't grandma's, so we have to do everything. And it's like, well, did we paint the eggs the night before? No, and somebody has to take the time to hard boil them. And it's just like, uh, we did we did make a roast, so we had this really nice dinner, and the girls loved that. And we got the plastic eggs and we put the candy in them and we hid those out in the yard and we did an Easter egg hunt and they did get Easter baskets. But I think our daughters had a wonderful day, and I do think that they won't even like, they say that you don't even remember the gifts that you get. It's about spending time together and being present with them and being, celebrating, talking about what Easter's all about and why we're celebrating today and spending time with family. So I think that we really hit all the big ones, but I really don't remember what all the gifts were. I think I always got like a Reese's peanut butter egg and a Cadbury egg and a marshmallow egg and some Peeps. But like, I don't remember anything really beyond that. It's just what I do remember is that it was always a thing and we always got together with family. And, we have a 4-year old and a 2-year old, and it's just like it's a lot of work goes into that. And Um, I love it. So I'm all totally here for it, but I think I just didn't understand. Like you don't appreciate it sometimes when you're the 15-year-old, like everything your parents probably did to prepare for that. And then their whole day, like as a child, when you're getting everything and you're experiencing Easter and you're just being served wonderful food, and then you don't clean up the food, you just go and play. Like I think I did ran the dishwasher 3 times today because we did like the full fun big breakfast. But we like the dishwasher when I came downstairs, was like full of clean dishes. So put those away, did the big breakfast, ran it, and then immediately started cooking everything that I needed to for the roast, and it just was like ready to be ran again. Emptied it, ate dinner, we had cake, and then it like just loaded it up again. So it's just crazy. Like again, I probably sound like I'm complaining, and I'm not because it was amazing, but there's just like the behind the scenes efforts that parents do is a lot, and it's awesome. Like um again, yeah, I just dropped this because it sounds like I'm complaining. I think I just didn't understand. And so I guess what I want to say is thank you to my family, thank you to my parents, my grandparents, thank you to everybody that's ever done anything like that, especially when it's like I know before we moved, grandma and grandparents were doing things for our kids, and we won't get to experience that as much this year. But they did send us care packages in the mail, so that was cool. We got to open those too, and that I think that that's going to kind of become the new normal for a while we're out here in Washington. All right, so let's switch over and I'll pull up my notes. We're going to go back to the women tell all, and I might kind of go through the women tell all stuff a little bit quicker. I'd like to really focus on the finale. I thought the women tell all was awesome. I do, again, I'm only going through it a little bit quicker because this is sort of like a recap of 2 episodes, but I thought this women tell all was, again, one of the best in years. Um, we got the perfect amount of drama. Drama. There was girls fighting. There was girls having each other's backs. There was hot seats. Jessie seemed to be on point. We got a lot of Maria, which is what I wanted. Um, we got the right people in the hot seat. Rachel, they did it really well. Where Rachel, we found out she was going to be cut, so it was going to be Kelsey A and Daisy, and then we got to see and hear from Rachel. Um, so we'll just start at the beginning here. So the episode opened up and we had Maria, and the crowd just goes wild for Maria. Um, and again, let me just say really quickly, thank you for to anyone that's listening as we go through this. Like I'm very well aware that this is like the beginning stages of the Trevor Roberts Talkfest podcast. So if you are listening right now, just know that I appreciate it. I really do. I think it means a lot to me. Thank you. Um, but okay, so we this is Maria is just stealing the show. Okay, like everybody, there's signs for her. The crowd is going wild whenever she talks, and she can do no wrong. And I think that it was obvious to me the sort of the arc that you see Sydney and Jess and Leia go through during this episode because they kind of start off like ready to battle her, but then it's like there's nobody in the crowd on their side, and everybody's on Maria's side, and they're like, "Oh, we." And at one point, my wife, we watched it together. She's like, "Oh, they need to grovel. They know that they need to grovel because if they don't, this is like their chance. Like this is their chance. Everyone hates them, and if they grovel and get on their knees and beg to the goddess that is Maria, they might be able to get some fans back on Instagram. But right now, it's like all Maria. And of course, we do hear a little bit about hate later on in the episode, and I absolutely don't appreciate or condone any of that. I don't respect it. I've never hated on anyone on social media, and I despise that in general. It's like nobody wants to click on their post and look at the comments and see something nasty there. So I don't want people at all hating Sydney, Leia, and Jess. But I will say that it's just like they didn't come across well in the show. And it seemed like to me, they just didn't like Maria and they wanted to get rid of Maria by kind of bullying her or creating a narrative, and it just didn't work. And Maria's personality outshined through that, and the fans were not here for it. And they were like, no, that's not happening. We want Maria. And again, no hate at all, but it felt like to me they just didn't like her. And that's not really cool. It's like, okay, you don't like Maria's style. You don't like that she can talk over you. Well, that she can't. It did seem like she could probably talk over you, and I don't like that at all. I want people to let me speak, and I usually don't. Like if someone talks over me, I just kind of stop. So I'm not gonna like have a battle where I try to talk over someone. So I get that that sucks, but it doesn't seem like she does that always. It seems like she jumps in when you start saying something that she feels isn't true. And they did say some things that were lies. In fact, we learn in this episode that Lauren was the one that said, shut the fuck up. And they tried to make a really big thing out of saying it was Maria, and they even told Joey that it was Maria. But Maria knew that she didn't say it, and she pointed that out, and they kind of doubled down and they were like, "Yep." And Maria's like, there's cameras. Like, everyone knows I didn't say that. It's going to come out. And almost because she called that out and said, there's cameras, I think that they just thought, like, we might be able to get away with it. No one's going to, like, dig through the tape. But then they didn't get away with it. And then Lauren admits that she was the one that said it. And it just doesn't look good. And it just points out that they just wanted her gone, and it just didn't work. Even Jessie Palmer seems to be on Maria's side. Like, he's interrupting the girls, saying, "Hey, well, we need to give her a chance." He's really only giving Maria the spotlight. Maria gets to come up and do the hot seat. A lot of times when there's like big drama between two players, they both get to come up and speak their mind. Well, Sydney doesn't get to. Now, Sydney didn't make it like that far, but she made it decently far. I mean, it's not like she went home night one. She made it pretty far, and then they had the 2-on-1. And Sydney is friends with Ashley I in real life, and Ashley I is fairly famous. I mean, she's kind of like Bachelorette royalty. She was on, I think, 2 or 3 seasons of Bachelor in Paradise. She got married to Jared, who she met on Bachelor in Paradise. They've come back and done like cameo appearances, and everyone knows that they're friends. And yet, even that didn't really get Sydney much help from Jessie, I would say, and no hot seat. There's a moment when Leah leaves the stage because she's having such a hard time, but it was kind of like off camera, but then they showed it to us anyway. And then she comes back. Maria does give her a hug. And that was something that Maria just kept doing. It was like Maria knew she was winning. And everything she was saying was like standing up for herself. And at some points, she would be like, "No, I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not going to, like, you didn't win. You were horrible to me." The drama. And even Medina said it was sad to her that her little comment about her insecurity turned into this whole big thing. And it was Sydney that did that. And she was mad at Sydney for it. But then Maria, like, when she comes back from the 2-on-1, and everyone was she says nobody was nice to me. And she has some friends up there on the stage, like Edwina, Lauren, I think a couple other people, maybe Jenn, are all pretty close to her. And she kind of calls them out too, like, none of you were happy that I came back from the 2-on-1. And then Medina said I look beautiful, and you all were mad at her for that. And the crowd just like goes wild. And so, you know, that was when it was like, yeah, you've got to grovel because Maria is like a star. And I remember we said after episode 1 that she was going to be an icon. She's the sprinkle princess, the sprinkle queen. All right, so we end up cutting to Lexi. And Lexi really crushes it. Totally different vibes than Maria. Maria's all fun, big personality, bold, keeps you on the toes. You don't know what she's going to say. She would be an amazing bachelorette. I mean, I think that the ratings would be through the roof. I don't know why they didn't ask her, but um, Lexi also could be an awesome bachelorette. Lexi really hits like pulls on your heartstrings. She's just stunning. She's smart, intelligent. You can tell that everything she says, she's just so buttoned up and really perfect in the way she presents herself. And it doesn't seem fake. It just seems like that's just who she is. Like, she just has a gift that the way she kind of just elegantly speaks and holds herself, and who she is just really shines through. Um, I don't know if it's like her upbringing or if it's just who she is, but she just comes across so well, so professional. She like has never had a bad moment on the show. And she talks about how the endometriosis has caught, like, how that coming out on the show has had Bachelor Nation really respond to her in a big way and talk about how like been really helpful, and she's getting all kinds of DMs and people reaching out to her saying thank you. You're really bringing all of like the endometriosis talk to light and helping them. And so that is just amazing. Lexi says that Joey set an extremely high bar, but she is looking for her person, and we know she's sort of in a hurry because she wants to try to have some kids and she wants to be a mom. I think she was 30 or maybe 31. So, endometriosis aside, that's relatively young. I don't know, like if 40 is kind of the end of having children and you have a child about every other year, we'll say. If you meet somebody at 30 and you get married at 31 and you get really quickly onto having kids, like by 32, maybe 33, she could be like having her first kid. Maybe she gets pregnant at 32, has her first kid at 33. And then we call it 2 years, 2 years, 35 and 37. Now, especially if she has endometriosis really severely, which I think she does, and she has to do something like IVF, um, then maybe she has two children. And so maybe she gets, has one at 35, 33, and then maybe at like 36. And um, maybe she has one, like I think she has plenty of time to be a mom. It's just, is she going to be able to with the endometriosis? Is she going to need something like IVF? Um, and is that going to work? Is she okay with looking at other alternatives like adoption? And I don't know any of that, but I do think that um, age, she's not like, she's not past the time when she can have children, obviously. Um, I think it would be amazing if she went on Bachelor in Paradise. Would love to see her, but I heard something that they might not have it this season. I don't know if the ratings have just been too low. I hope not. I love Bachelor in Paradise, so I don't know what's going on there, but I hope we get to see more of Lexi. Definitely hope we get to see more of Maria. Now, after Lexi, we see Maria goes to the hot seat, and we kind of see the flashback of like the Maria and Joey connection. And Joey, we hear him say that she keeps him on his toes. He says she is 100% unapologetically herself. And then he says, I can't with you, which is so cool. Like she makes him laugh. And you see that they had a lot of fun. She says, I pride myself on being honest. She's weird, dumb, annoying. She's owning that. She likes it. Um, and then we see a little bit of the Maria Sydney drama, but again, um, it just doesn't go Sydney and Leia and Jess's way. We do see Leia say something nice about Maria. I remember this. She pops up and she says that she kind of regrets the animosity because it just sort of made it so she didn't get to know the real Maria. And this is where I'm a little bit skeptical because I do think she had plenty of time to get to know the real Maria. I think what it is that they're starting to realize they've lost the crowd. And then it's like, well, we need to grovel. This is right. I got a note here. This is where my wife said that they need to grovel. And Maria stands up and gives Sydney and Leia a hug. But I don't think Jess got a hug because I don't think Jess stood up, and it was kind of noticeable. It was like, is just not willing to do the groveling. And I almost don't get it because I feel like maybe Jess was just being stubborn. Like, obviously, Maria and Sydney were like the big baddies. And then Sydney loses the 2-on-1. And then Leia kind of picks up the torch, but she never really felt as big of a baddie as Sydney. It was almost just like she definitely felt conniving, like a little bit conniving because she was like going after Medina and saying like, "Hey, you can't be nice." That was where she really messed up. Was going after Medina and saying you can't be nice to Maria. She's the enemy. And Medina's like, "No, that's stupid. Like that's not cool." And good for Medina for doing that, like standing up for herself, because you know that that probably took a lot for her. But Leia, like, it just isn't a good look. That didn't make her look good at all. And I think Leia realized that. She kind of was like, yeah, I was in the wrong there. Um, I don't really get why Jess was so mad. Like, there is a moment, I guess, now that I think about it, earlier in the Women Tell All, Jess is trying to tell her, she's trying to have her 2 seconds where she stands up for herself, and you can tell her hair's a little different, and she's like got like a tan. I don't know if it's a spray tan or what, but she looks a little bit darker. Her makeup looks different. Like she's kind of looking a little bit different than she did on the show, and she tries to retell her moment, and Maria won't stop interrupting her, and Jess is like, she kept telling just the story she's trying to tell starts off with Maria kept interrupting me, and then in real life, in that moment in the Women Tell All, Maria keeps interrupting her, and Jess is like, "See what I'm saying?" And I thought that Maria was going to lose the crowd for a second, but she doesn't. Like, the crowd is just so Maria driven. Not even that is enough, and Maria is just like, "Nope, nope, nope, zip it, zip it, zip it." Like, I will not let you tell a lie about me. And she's like, you need to be careful about what you say because it can create narratives about me. So if you're going to talk about me, you need to only speak the truth. And I think just felt like Jess really struggled. Maria was coming at her hard right in front of everybody, in front of the live crowd, and she just can't handle it. And I can understand that a little bit because um, I feel like if I'm going to have a disagreement with someone, I need to have my time to sit there and process and think. And if you just are coming at me hard and interrupting me, I'm not going to be able to deal with that. I mean, I'd probably just have to get up and walk away and come back later. And I'd be like, hey, you got to get, like, you just need to zip it and I'm going to speak. And then when I'm done, I want you to listen and process it and then take your time and then come back and tell me what you think. And Maria was not doing that. And Jess couldn't take it. So then I think later, when Sydney and Leia kind of give Maria the hug, and Jess is like, nope, I'm pissed. And so Jess just doesn't do it. But it just seems like ironic because throughout the season, Jess really only had the one moment with Maria. And the whole big thing with Jess was like, Maria took his time, even though she already had a rose during one of the rose ceremonies, and Jess like didn't get time or something. But the thing is, Jess, like the episode before and on night one, so two different times, Jess had done the exact same thing. And she couldn't, like, she basically, like, had a rose or she pulled him twice, and other people didn't get time. And she couldn't see that she had done that same thing twice. And then she calls Maria a bitch. And that's like blasted many times, like on repeat. And so, but that was really the only one thing. If there was more than that, we didn't really get to see it. So it does seem like it's Sydney, Leia, and Jess against Maria, but to me, it's really Sydney against Maria. Leia is just trying to. I think Leia was Team Sydney, so she was like really wanting to carry the torch, but it really wasn't her thing. And then you get Jess just like joins in because they're friends, but really like she's not a big baddie against Maria. All right. So Women Tell All, they end up going back to Tulum, and we have the rose ceremony. Rachel is out. Joey does cry when Rachel leaves. He doesn't have those feelings of love for her, but he does want Rachel in his life very badly, and he wants her to be okay. Rachel says she'll always have love for Joey. He says he's crushed. He may have just hurt someone. And then we see Rachel in the hot seat. Rachel says that there's big shoes to fill after Joey. Joey pushed he wanted Rachel to see her worth. She says Joey's very real. He's a true, genuine guy. She says the show is an emotional roller coaster and she's been hit with a lot of hateful messages, racist comments towards her, people calling her a jungle Asian after hometowns. Um, she says that it was really sad that her parents enjoyed the hometown episode, even though they were skeptical and didn't really even want to do it. And now people are attacking their culture, and it's just been very hurtful. And we see Jessie apologize to Rachel and her family, and it was a very good apology, very heartfelt. It's just awful that this has happened. I absolutely loved seeing the hometown with Rachel and meeting her family. I thought her mom had a lot of spunk, and her mom reminded me of a colleague of mine that I have, sort of a client that's coming to mind that just has that same exact persona. And I think I even spoke about that in my follow up of um, I think it was the Fantasy Suite episode, or maybe no, it was Hometowns, but um, I can't believe that she was I mean, I wasn't expecting that. Like hit with all this hate. Everyone has different family, like traditions and cultures and also like they weren't in their hometown. They had to I think rent an Airbnb in California because they live in Hawaii and the show didn't want to go to Hawaii. So it's like that wasn't even their home. They were doing like a barbecue at someone else's house. So we didn't even like think about they didn't want to do it. They were nervous about their culture. Rachel even calls that to attention as like, "Hey, we have a different culture. I want to prepare you for it." And the show like couldn't. I feel like they could have gone to Hawaii. That would have been nice, but they really did try to prepare us for like this was a sensitive thing for Rachel, and it made me like want to give it a chance, and like why wouldn't I give it a chance anyway? I just think like people that aren't gonna like be excited to learn something new or see who Rachel is and get to know her family, like it was so cool getting to see a little window into their family life for a little bit. I totally don't get it. I don't get why there's so many people that are into The Bachelor and The Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise, and it's like I don't understand like who are these people that are just saying mean things online. Um, I've never understood that. I think maybe because like I'm I don't even know. No, I don't want to even say that. I was gonna say something about like how old I am and maybe that has something to do with it, but I think that would just be ignorant of me to say. Like I honestly just don't know who is out there saying these mean things. I don't get it. Um, but Jesse addresses Bachelor Nation and says courage should never be met with, or Joey says courage should never be met with hate, and he's so right. All right, so let's just go to the finale. Um, the finale is like really what I want to talk about. So let's just take a moment and talk about Jessie Palmer for a second. Jessie Palmer. I'm gonna look up this guy. He he just crushes it. He crushed it during the Women Tell All, and then he crushed it on the finale. Okay. Looks like he's 45 years old. Dude looks like he could pass for like 25. Um, God just looks amazing. Says fatherhood has changed. Bachelor host Jessie Palmer says fatherhood changed everything. I've seen a whole new side of myself. It's unbelievable. It's a blessing. Palmer said of parenthood during an appearance. Aw, you get to see him being a dad. He's got a daughter, Ella. Proud dad during an appearance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What else? I gotta say, my wife Emily has been amazing. I didn't think I could love my wife any more than I do, and having a baby has changed everything. It's an entirely new level. Oh, happy for them. They look like a happy family. Crazy part is, I have a great uncle. His daughter was 9 pounds. I was almost 12 pounds. Oh my God. What? Okay. Uh, what? Okay. I don't know who Hudson must be the one interviewing him. Also asked about Ella being a big baby, to which Palmer replied she was almost 9 pounds. Okay, that's not why I said, oh my God. That is big. My daughters were 7 pounds. So she was 9 pounds, which in my family is not uncommon. I was almost 12 pounds, which is big. And then he says, the crazy part is, I have a great uncle who was 17 pounds. It was the largest baby in Canadian history. So I gave my wife Emily the heads up early. We just kind of do big babies. Oh my God. That is crazy. That is so humongous. 17 pounds. I mean, that had to have been like a C-section for sure. Oh my God. I gotta tell my wife that tomorrow. 17 pounds. She's gonna die. Oh my God, that's awesome. Well, anyway, I don't even know. Like Jesse's just been on everything. He's on my wife is watching like all day on the background today. She had like cooking shows on. Um some type of baking competition and it had Duff on there. If you know Duff, he's on a lot of these shows too. He's like one of the guests and he's one of the judges. Um and I think he owns a cake shop that's really good. And then Jesse Palmer's just like sitting there lounging and he's not really even looks like he's not doing anything. He's just sitting there. He doesn't judge any of the cakes. He just says hi and bye to the contestants as they walk up. And then as they're cooking and stuff, he's kind of commentating like but the thing is he's just so good. Like it looks so effortless. It looks like he's not doing a lot, but really it's got to be hard. And he just always like his tone of voice, his timing, his funny. He's always like got the perfect smile and just um it just seems like he's making a job that I know for a fact because I've kind of done some of that not being televised, but in real life a little bit. And it's just hard. Like when you're the host of everything. And it's very easy to try to overdo it and just try to like steal the show and be funny and be like, and he doesn't do any of that. And the way he does it is just so effortlessly, but it comes across so well. And I don't even know. I think he might have hosted an award show for like either music awards or for movies or for TV or something, but he was like the host of something recently. Let's see if I can look it up. Um he's got Bachelor in Paradise, the cooking show. Let's see all the things Jesse Palmer is hosting. 5 things now. I don't know. Let's see. See if I can find it real quick. Okay. Mm-mm. Okay, I don't want to not be talking, but looks like there's a picture of him here playing football. Looks like he played for the 49ers. He played in the Canadian Football League. He actually was the Bachelor, which I did know. Um, yeah, I don't know. Jesse Palmer hosts. Yes, I know he does the Food Network stuff. Um, Oh, he was on the Oscars red carpet. Okay, that's what it was. Anyway, sorry about that. I just had to look it up, but he did the Oscars red carpet. I don't even know. What is the Oscars? The Oscars. Oscars. Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science. the Academy Awards. This is like movies. Yeah, it's the film industry, and he did the red carpet. I mean, that's huge. That's like A-list actors and actresses, and he's hosting on the red carpet, meeting everybody. And he's like, and the thing is, like, I think even famous celebrities like The Bachelor and Bachelorette, and then everybody likes the baking competitions and stuff. And also he played football for the Gators and a little bit of pro. So it's like he's sort of just going around. He's like, okay, I've already got the football people. And then he's like, I've got the reality TV people with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. And then all the moms are watching the baking competitions. And like, then you got people like my wife who they've been watching the baking stuff for years. And he was kind of like a floating host. Like he didn't do all of them, but he would pop up once in a while. I remember when he got announced as like going to take over The Bachelor, my wife didn't know who it was, and I did. And it wasn't from the baking stuff. It was because I knew that he played football for the Gators. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's Jessie Palmer. He like kind of bounces around. He was a quarterback. Um, but now it's like she probably knows him better than I do because she sees him all the time on her baking stuff that she's literally watching that all the time. And it's like Jesse Palmer is sort of just like he's got this system to just like get in your life from all these different angles. And it's just going to take one breakout. It's like somebody, I really do think that we might not even get him for that much longer on The Bachelor, Bachelorette, because I could just see some big show being like, he's going to be the new host. I mean, it could, I don't know, probably not Jeopardy, but like something like that, like something iconic is going to take him. Or, um, I don't know, like maybe he'll become like a regular on something. I'm trying to think of like what is the top. I mean, he could become like New Year's Eve guy. Like Ryan Seacrest is probably the guy that I'm thinking of. Like it could be Jesse Palmer and Ryan Seacrest or whatever. Ryan Seacrest kind of like quickly rose to the top, but I think it's like that sort of vibes, you know? Like Jesse is just really making a name for himself. Anyway, love Jesse Palmer. Great guy. Love that he's from Canada. Um, I just I just think they really hit the jackpot with him. So when we get to the finale, we see it spins around. Jesse's wearing his black suit, white shirt, black tie. Looks awesome. We see Rachel and Gabby are there with their significant others. And then we do see a quick shot at Tulum. It looks awesome. I love this shot of like the from the bird's eye view of the trees, and then you see the big opening where the waterfall is. I really like to go there someday. And then we get a look back at Kelsey A and Daisy. We see what life could be like with each of them. And we see Joey saying his biggest fear is that someone's not going to choose him. I get that that is probably what his biggest fear was. And he probably did say that every single week in the ITMs. But like, that was sort of their theme was that they showed, I think that that was, okay, I'm kind of thinking about this right now. But I really do think that they knew that it was going to be basically a perfect happy tale cookie cutter ending where yeah the whole thing with like the two of them kind of coming up as a team and then leaving having a moment at the end was really cool, but like Kelsey A never really has a misstep, Joey never has a misstep, everyone really thinks Kelsey A's in the driver's seat and then he picks Kelsey A, and so it could be seen as very anticlimactic. And since he did say every single week that his biggest fear was that no one was going to pick him, they kind of just run with that and they just like hit us with it every week, all the time to make it like a thing. And that's kind of the narrative. And then they show us him crying and leaving when Daisy leaves. And they try to make us think that he leaves with no one. And I get why they do that stuff because they want ratings and they want us to like the show. And I want that because I want the show to continue. Like I like the show. And so I get it. Sometimes it's a little overkill when you're being totally led down a narrative that isn't going to happen and there's not even like a reason to think that it might happen. But I think with this season, there was just nothing. Like there was just no drama really. And so they had to do something. Luckily they had Maria because Joey was very vanilla. Um, I said he might be the best bachelor ever. And what I mean by that is like he treated the women probably better than anyone ever has. Um, he was extremely gracious with especially the top five that ended up leaving. And everyone but one has to have their feelings hurt. He was really good about taking care of everybody. Um, he just doesn't ever do anything wrong, but at the same time, he even admits like sometimes life with Joey isn't The Bachelor. It's just like you don't get. It's he's not easily like he can't easily read his emotions, and he doesn't say a lot. He's not like, hey, fun adventure Joey. Sometimes he's chill Joey. And that came out a lot on the show. And so I think that they just kind of have to give us some narratives to kind of keep us along and make us nervous. And it was kind of not my favorite thing. Um, we do get to see Joey's family. His mom, dad, brother, and two sisters are there. His uncle is obviously not there. I can't really figure out why did they hide Joey's uncle? Let's see if we can look something up really quick with that. Why didn't why didn't we see Joey's uncle on The Bachelor? Yeah, let's read this Reddit here. No, that's from 8 months ago. Yeah, that's 8 months ago. Let's not do that. 7 days ago. No. Joey says he's jobless, living with his sister. Yeah. I guess it's just, I don't know. I'm not really seeing much about it, but it looks like why doesn't Joey talk about himself? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm not gonna waste everybody's time while I Google that, but um I guess the only thing I could really get from like that quick little search is that Joey's uncle kind of sabotaged him with Charity. Like he kind of didn't help him. Um I think he almost told Charity something bad, but the thing is like I really feel like she was going to choose Dotton and it just doesn't matter. It wasn't a great look on TV. And I also think like if I was going on The Bachelor, I'd want my mom and dad and my siblings. I just don't get why he did the uncle thing. The only thing I can think is that his family didn't want to do it, or maybe it's because they were all out in Hawaii. I don't know. Yeah, that could be it. Maybe they're all out in Hawaii, but we don't really know. But for whatever reason, on Charity's season, it's like all about his uncle, right? His uncle sucked, and God, that was terrible. I should not say that, but I didn't like his uncle that much because he just seemed so negative. Like he said that Joey tries to be a chameleon and like just like please everybody that he's with. And then he told Charity the same thing, and it really sort of sabotaged him with Charity. So I didn't really love his uncle, but Joey says he hasn't said he's in love yet, and he won't. So he's telling his family that he hasn't said I am in love or I love you, I'm in love with you to any of the women. But he did tell them both he's falling in love with them. And there is a big distinction there on the show. They sort of have like terminology that they use. So then we cut to Daisy. We get the Christmas tree arrival from Daisy. She got the first one-on-one. She gives the credit to Joey's family because Joey is such an amazing person, and she says that that obviously comes from the family that raised him, which I agree with. Um, Joey's family, they all get really emotional. These two people get a little emotional. Then we see Joey's sisters. She told the girls she will pick him. Okay, so this is Joey's sisters interviewing Daisy. Um, Daisy tells the girls she will pick him and choose him every single day for the rest of her life. She is terrified because there is another woman, Kelsey A. Sisters love Daisy. Precious and sweet, prepared to say yes. Sisters say they're very compatible. Joey says there are fears of her holding back. Joey thinks it's because there are other women. Sister number two says she's all in. She'll be heartbreaking if you don't propose, and Joey hates that. Now we see Mom and Daisy. Um, Mom says that Daisy is resilient and very strong. She doesn't give up on herself. She loves very big. Mom is sort of grilling her. Daisy gets pretty emotional. She says Joey's worth it. Joey's mom wants what's best for Daisy. She says it's been a pleasure getting to know her. Daisy's emotional because she's all in. We see. Um, oh, and then I just read a quick note that we see Kelsey T with an older gentleman, and I said it was probably her dad because we saw in the Women Tell All, Kelsey T popped on and said that this season her dad watched it and saw her talking about her dad, and instead of that causing a bigger riff, it like they were able to um, talk it out. I think he apologized to her, and I think that was probably her dad sitting there with her, which was pretty cool. Um, Then we go to cut to Kelsey A. She shows up out of the limo with the voodoo doll, and I think that um, I heard Evan and Jess talking about this on the Your Mom and Dad podcast, and they just said like this isn't very Kelsey A, and they were a little confused by it. I don't know for sure, but my take is that it's not like it was just a New Orleans thing. She's from New Orleans. Voodoo is a huge thing in New Orleans. I don't think that you have like voodoo in New Orleans. If you haven't been or if you haven't been a lot, it's like in the movies there's voodoo and it's a very weird thing and it's like, oh, are you into voodoo? Are you like a witch? Are you into witchcraft? Are you into like weird magic and you know how like voodoo is supposed to be kind of creepy. It's like you can put a pin in it and hurt somebody wherever you put the pin in it. But I think that if you're actually from New Orleans, it's just such a thing in New Orleans. It's like everywhere. It's like, you know, you go to get the beignets and you're going to see somebody like with the voodoo. You know, it's like part of their culture. And I think a lot of it is just fun. Like it's not like everyone in New Orleans does voodoo. It's like everyone in New Orleans embraces that voodoo is part of the culture of the city. But not really. It's like a tourist thing almost. I mean, I think some people are probably really into it, but others it's like you can buy a voodoo doll and it's kind of fun. And she had a voodoo doll made of Joey. And then she kissed it. And kissing the voodoo doll to me does feel very Kelsey A. Even like not the creepy voodoo stuff, but the whole like, hey, here's a voodoo doll. It's definitely like something you wouldn't forget. Like somebody pops out of the limo, you know, if I were to meet 32 women and one of them popped out with a voodoo doll on me and then she kissed it, I wouldn't forget that. You know, it's like she'd probably be the only one that did that. And then later on in the night, she'd be like, hey, yeah, I had the voodoo doll, you know, and you're like, oh, yeah, that was kind of fun. So, and then especially if she were to come up to me and she's like, hey, I had the voodoo doll. And I was like, oh, yeah, that was kind of fun. And she's like, yeah, I'm from New Orleans. I'd be like, oh, cool, you know, and like instantly we have a connection. So I thought it was brilliant. And it's way, in my opinion, like way better than riding in on a giant boat or something like that. Okay. um, we see Kelsey A and the sisters, and what makes you two compatible? Oh yeah, the sisters ask Kelsey A what makes you two compatible. It seemed like a tough question for her. She wasn't able to really give the same responses as Daisy, and she didn't necessarily come across as 100% ready. Sister said she was amazing, silly, fun, had a lot of energy, she sort of lights up the room. Um, we see Dad and Kelsey. Dad asks if this is just infatuation. Kelsey says no, this is love. Kelsey A says Daisy is an amazing woman. She loves her. We see Mom and Kelsey A. If it isn't Kelsey, he's gonna be really happy with Daisy. It could not. Mom is really setting Kelsey up not to be the one. The way you look at him is special. He has a heart of gold. Joey is not going into. Oh yeah, I said basically that Joey's gonna go into the lab like full brood mode, but I think I was wrong. Like I thought they kind of made it look like Joey like had a big decision to make and he wasn't sure, but I definitely think he like now that I kind of know and look back at it, I think he probably knew for a long time. Um, then we see the date with Daisy, and there's the spiritual experience in Tulum, and Daisy looks like very frustrated the whole time, and um, you can kind of understand why. Like a sauna, if you've ever done a sauna, it's a cleansing thing. You're sitting there, and your toxins in your body are oozing out of your skin. You're basically got sweat running down your face and you can always feel it like going between your eyes and down your nose and then it's like rolling over your lips and you're starting to like you're talking and you got sweat blipping down over your lips and you're just kind of sitting there and you're almost exhausted and you're just like your mouth's kind of hanging open and you're just like it's hot. And then on top of that, like the spiritual little thing going on, if I remember right, they're like dumping water on these hot rocks and like steam's popping out. And we just see shots of Daisy like staring him down, looking pissed, and she's like sitting behind him, so he isn't even seeing any of that. I don't know. It's a very like I feel like when you're in a sauna, you are very, very aware of your thoughts. You're like, whatever I'm thinking about, you're thinking about something, and then you're thinking about how hot you are, and you're thinking about your sweat, and then you're able to kind of recapture yourself, and you're thinking about how hot you are, and it's like, it's it's not like a fun. I wouldn't say it's bad. I don't think it's like relaxing at all. It's like you're on the edge. You're very present, and you're very like, ugh, you know. I think the thing with saunas is like when you come out of the sauna and you shower and you get into something comfy, you feel good about the fact that you just cleansed your body of toxins. You probably like need to drink a little water. You're probably kind of exhausted, maybe a little dehydrated if you haven't drank enough. And you could totally relax afterwards and maybe it's like a great time to go to bed. Like I don't know, if I had one in my house and I did a long sauna, I think they say wake up in the morning, do the cold plunge, do the sauna right before bed, shower, hop in bed, sleep all night. Like it's not a day thing in my opinion where you like do a sauna right before you have this big date. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like what I would want to do at all. And it definitely seemed like she just kind of knew that she wasn't getting picked. Now, I don't know if she really knew, like she says that there was a moment where she saw Joey and Kelsey A make some eye contact, and she was like, "Oh, they have something special that I don't know if we have." But Daisy like had something special with him too, and I think that he probably was giving her a real shot in his mind. Like he probably knew he was a little bit farther along with Kelsey A, but also like really trying to picture what his life would be like with Daisy, and really trying to see if he could get there. And I don't think the sauna helped. I just don't. But I think also that was the whole thing. If you go back and look at all the dates with Kelsey A, she always got the date where you like walk through town together, which is the most realistic date of what it's like dating in real life, and it's the best date. You're just like walking through, experiencing town in an extremely fun way, as opposed to like a horseback riding date. If I'm not mistaken, I think Daisy got a horseback riding date. And Jess and Evan pointed out that that's a horrible date because actually the way they set it up is you're on like one person is in front of the other quite a ways, and then you get the side camera shot where you see them both like walking their horses from the side, but it's not a great way to talk to each other. One is like way out in front of you, and so you're kind of like yelling something at the butt of a horse, and then the other person is yelling something forwards, even though the person they're talking to is behind them, and neither one of you can really turn and look a whole lot because you're on the back of a huge animal and you can't fall off because it would like step on you or something, like it's kind of a serious thing. Like you have to pay attention to your horse, so like it's not a great date. I mean, it's afterward, if I did it with my wife and then we had to date, it'd be great because we talk about it a little bit, but not a great date if I'm trying to win my wife over and there's another stud trying to do the same thing, and he gets to do the date where you walk through Spain together and see the city and see the people and eat little ice creams and go into little gift shops and talk about everything. Like, that's way better than me riding a horse. So I think that that's a big deal. And no one ever talks about that. They're probably not allowed to say, like, that's not the date I would have done, you know? Um, Now, I do like how when we go to the dinner portion of the date, she says she's going into the date believing that it's her. And she does look stunning in the green dress. Joey told her it was okay to have all these emotions. They switch gears to talking about Joey's family. She doesn't think that there's been a better bachelor. She says he handled it with so much grace, love, happiness, care for the women. I totally agree. Daisy doesn't know when love is going to happen. She says it just comes. She loves him in a way that feels so natural and uplifting. She says she loves you. She feels so good when she is with him. And Joey gives her no validation at all. Joey says he's running out of time and he's not ready. It kills him to think about that. He's very sad. Daisy says he is being measured and careful with what he says. She's in the ITM saying that, so she's not saying that to him, but that's what she's kind of thinking. You can see that he looks like a total mess. Daisy says she's feeling a huge mix of emotions. She thinks that there might be something missing with her, and then she says she doesn't think it's her. It's really sad. So then we cut to Kelsey A. She's in a lovely white dress, huge smile. She's having a spa day. They get a pedicure. They both have their feet being scrubbed. It tickles him. It would definitely tickled me too. I've never had a pedicure, but I don't really like people doing that. They do face masks, goofy, funny. They're having a good time. He lets go a bit more. Then we see Kelsey giving him a massage. And I wouldn't really like this date either, to be totally transparent, but I do think it's way better than the sauna date. Um, we do a quick cut to Daisy. She was very sad. She told Joey that she loved him. She didn't get much back. She got no validation. They go back to Kelsey, night portion. So she's in a blue dress. She's looking gorgeous. Joey talks about the different level of giddiness. Kelly brings up sisters, asking ready. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if like the producers told her to do that, but she just kind of naturally brings up that question. And she gives her answer to him. He doesn't question her about it at all. Like Joey's not sweating whatever she said. Um, she feels like it's supposed to be her and him. She's terrified if it's not her. She has a lot of tears. After this, and in 10 years, she says she wants to cook breakfast, support each other, and she wants it to be her. We got to Jessie Palmer, and he says, "Here we go." And Evan and Jess were talking about this too. It was pretty weird. I love Jessie Palmer. I just felt like that was so odd. It was like kind of ominous. Um, we see Neil Lane. They get the ring picked. Um, Then we see Daisy go and knock on Joey's door, but actually it's Kelsey A's door. She has to come in. Kelsey says the meeting with the family went good. Day portion was quick, and she got validation. Daisy says meeting the family was really good, but the date felt off. Something was missing, and she got no validation and confirmation. So hard to hear what Kelsey had to say. She's not going to walk away. Um, all right, so we kind of talked through what it was, a little recap there, but um, just want to give my thoughts on this whole thing. So when you look back on it, when you watch it, it's like it was so cool that we got to see all that. Um, I'm a little surprised that they let Daisy do that. Because they definitely could have stopped her. Like they all signed contracts, they're all getting paid to be there. They want the show to go a certain way. So like they could have said no. Like you can't go talk to Kelsey. This is a competition or whatever. This is a reality TV show. Joey needs to be able to um, have you both walk down the aisle. But at this point too, it's kind of like, well, the producers are probably thinking like, well, this hasn't happened before. Like this could be good. Like what is she gonna say? So I don't know. She probably kind of gave producers a little bit of a hint of what she wanted to do, but um, she goes in there and she's talking to Kelsey and she's like, "How was your date?" And Kelsey could have said, she could have just like, sorry, she could have um downplayed it, which I think she did downplay it, but she does say, let me go back. She says, meeting the family was good. And she's going to say that probably no matter what, unless they had like a terrible experience. But like that was pretty, not getting a lot after that. And then she says the day portion was quick. Okay. That doesn't sound bad for Daisy. Meeting the family was good. Of course, she's going to say that. Day portion was quick. Well, you know, Daisy's day portion was probably quick. But here's the big thing. She says, I got validation. But if she said it in a really nice way, and you can tell that they care a lot about each other. Like she said, like she really tried to say it in a way that was like not gonna hurt Daisy's feelings, but she said it so genuinely. And then Daisy's like, yeah, meeting the family was really good, but the day felt off. Something was missing. She got no validation. And then we see him keep talking a little bit, and I think Daisy just kind of figured out in that moment, like, yeah, it's not going to be me. And she probably, um, like, she probably felt really, really confident with that. But like when they did the whole thing, like they left us on a little cliffhanger because she's like, I'm still not going to walk away because what if it's not? And then it was like dun dun dun. But then when we see them in the car ride together, they're holding hands. They're kind of like looking opposite ways, like out the windows of the car, and they're driving towards Joey. And that was really emotional because it was like they're sticking together. They're like, and we don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to leave together? Are they going to walk up and see Joey together? Are they going to make him like say who it is in front of both of them? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. But we do then get Daisy walking up first. And since they rolled up together and got out of the limo together and stood there at the entrance, and then Daisy's like, "Okay, here's the plan." I'm sure, assuming she told Kelsey like, "I'm gonna walk up there and I'm gonna say you're not gonna choose me, right?" And Kelsey doesn't exactly know how that's gonna go, but what we do know, if you think about it, and I'm sure they did think about it, is that whoever goes first is being rejected. And that's how, like, we don't always know. Never mind. The women don't always know when they walk up. Like, it's possible that, okay, so when they roll up out of their room, get in the car, drive up to see Joey, walk out there, they don't know if they're first or second. Like, they could be thinking, I don't, like, let's say Kelsey doesn't know that Daisy doesn't come and knock on her door. and she is second. She's going to get out of her room. She's going to get in the car. They're going to drive down there. She's going to get out and they're going to say, all right, go ahead. And as she's walking up to meet Joey, she doesn't know if Daisy's already gone or not, you know? So she's going to get up there and she's going to hope that Joey, you know, gives her the ring and proposes. And that, in that kind of moment, you're like, okay, Daisy must have already gone and been dumped and I'm winning, you know? Um, but in this way, since they came together, and she kind of looks at producers like, okay, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna bail on him, and that would obviously mean she's going first because Kelsey's standing right there and hasn't gone yet. Producers are basically like validating in that moment that yeah, you were gonna get dumped. You know, you weren't gonna be picked, and that's gotta be really hard. Like as she takes those first few steps and she's walking up, and that's why like Joey, it was a surprise to him when she says, "But you're not gonna pick me." Because Joey doesn't know that they just rode up together and that Kelsey's standing at the end of it. Like Joey must have been totally shocked because he must have just it must have just been like in his mind like she was just so perceptive of it. Which I mean in reality she was, but that's still pretty bold to be that confident if she hadn't done the whole combined thing with Kelsey. So she does walk up though. We see their connection, we see how it built. Last night was the best night yet. She understands him insecurities. Daisy says she loves how far they progressed, came into life for a reason. Um, know your, you know, he taught her how important it is to know your worth. Falling in love with him has been so fun. She does love him, but the thing is, you're not going to choose me. As much as that hurts, you want what's best for me. She's going to do what is best for me, and she's going to go. Joey says she doesn't understand how truly special she is. It's the hardest thing he's ever had to do. She leaves by saying she's pulling for him. That was so nice. And Joey says she's the strongest woman he's ever met. Then we see the girls having a moment. Daisy says she knows your mom will be looking down on you in this moment, which was super sweet. Now she leaves with her head held high. Cut back to Jessie Palmer. Will it still be the fairy tale? Okay, yeah, it's baloney. It's just that false narrative they're trying to go down us. So then we see Kelsey walking down. Um, very strong. She says, yes, Dad's crying. We should have known. She had a big reaction. Kelsey, will you accept the final rose? Yes. Go back to the live studio. Joey's all happy. Um, Daisy's there. She's sparkling, looking amazing. The proposal was beautiful. Um, Joey says he's pulling for Daisy too. Came into life for a reason. Jessie wishes her nothing but the best. So we see Daisy come on, talks, you know, what it was like being second, and we learn a little bit about how she's been since the final rose. We cut to Joey and Kelsey A. She says, greatest bachelor ever. Jessie said he really gave it everything. Very hard to keep this for so long on pause. Jessie asks about not hearing it back. Not hard. Um, all the words were reassuring enough. Oh, yeah. Jessie was saying, you know, what is it like when you tell someone you love them, but they never say it back? And she says it really wasn't that hard because I think that she just knew it was going to be her and she could tell, but he's not allowed to say it back. And she kind of got that. Um, Jessie says he's in awe of Kelsey. Um, my wife, I wrote down my wife like goes on a rant about how awesome Jessie is here. Um, we hear a little bit about what life has been like since they got done filming. Um, Joey's going to go to New Orleans for a little bit, but then they're eventually moving to New York. We see Kelsey's father for a little bit. They're getting to go back to Jasper for a little bit, which is cool. We get to see Daisy come back, and this was kind of cool, kind of not. Like they bring Daisy back basically to just kind of say like we asked you to be the Bachelorette and you said no. Um, but it's like they wanted the public to know that they tried. Um, which I thought really undercuts Jen. Like Jen ends up getting the next Bachelorette, and it's almost like they wanted the audience. It just feels like they were like, okay, hope you're not disappointed with Jen because we did try for Daisy, but she said no. Um, we see Daisy and Kelsey getting a moment. Um, all right, let's just go to the next Bachelorette. We see Charity come up and pass the torch to Jen. Didn't think she did the best job, to be honest. The next Bachelorette is Jenn. Jenn looks very overwhelmed. She's talking about how she was in Scrubs yesterday, how Charity has been inspiring to her. And really, I watched your mom and dad's podcast on this. My reaction, I think my reaction to who the next Bachelor, Bachelorette is going to be is always sort of a bummer. And then they always end up exceeding my expectations because I really didn't, wasn't that excited for Joey, and then Joey crushed it. Um, I wasn't that excited for Charity, and then I thought Charity season was awesome. See, Zach was not excited for Zach, and I thought he did pretty good. I mean, he was funny. I really liked his voice. He had some mannerisms that were funny. He was a young bachelor, and I definitely felt like that came through a little bit. Whereas Joey, not that much older than him, but really comes across a little bit different, maturity wise than Zach. Even though Zach, I don't know if that's the right word. Zach's very mature, but just young. He just seems younger. Um, for example, Zach did the whole like this is sex week, no sex thing, and Joey like doesn't. Joey just didn't talk about that. Um, So with the Jen thing, it's almost been like a roller coaster because like when we see Jen get early on when she got that one-on-one and they did the surfing, Jen comes in on the golf cart or the go-kart. We hear Jen talk about her family and what it was like growing up. And so I was like top, Jen's top three, Jen's top two. Like I was like, it's gonna be hard not to pick Jen. And I was shocked when Jen got sent home. So I think that in my mind, Jen was like higher, and she did seem really, really good at like not putting her foot in her mouth and like saying the right thing all the time. But then she really, in my mind, kind of like came across a little insecure, or not insecure, that's not right. She came across immature when she got sent home and what she said in the van. And then when they announced her as the Bachelorette, it's like she's going to be the fun Bachelorette. And she said shot o'clock, and I thought that was cool. And they took a shot. That was fun. But she was like, she says she's the first Asian American, which is amazing. Super excited about that. But then she was like, I'm going to be, I can't believe I'm going to be inspiring all these people. But she just didn't say it. I don't know. Like, I feel like if someone like Lexi or even Maria like was saying something about herself, they would say it with some humility and like about it'd be more about all of the Asians in America getting to see themselves as the lead character in a way that they don't normally get to see themselves and less about me. Like for Jen, it almost seemed like it was about her and her superstardom and less about being the inspiration. Now, I don't think that she actually meant it that way. I think it's just that like if I was all of a sudden the bachelor, I wouldn't be as buttoned up as Joey. I like that's not something that I am super good at yet. I mean, maybe I won't ever be. I'd like to think that I'm, hopefully going to get better at that. I'm trying to work on it and in this podcast. But some people just have that and they just always seem to say the right thing. And like I was saying about Lexi earlier. Whereas with Jen, I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think she might just say things and we'll see. Now, one thing I've noticed with almost every Bachelor, Bachelorette is they sort of get better as this show goes along, and then after the show's over and we see him again on the next thing, like Bachelor in Paradise, or they just reappear, they make a cameo, they're always way more buttoned up. They just seem to like totally get how to appear on camera after like being the lead. And so I do think Jen will probably go through a really positive transformation where she kind of grows up a little bit on the show. Um, it's definitely going to be a fun season, and I am very excited that. I mean, I'm just really happy that she is going to get that representation of Asian Americans, and she is going to be the lead. And I think that that's so cool. I just that point there, if you go back and watch it, it felt to me like didn't have enough humility in it. Um, we do see that Maria was there. Maria runs down to Jen. She's posted on Instagram a video of her and Jen. I think that they're close friends. She wants everyone to know she's happy for Jen, which is cool because I think a lot of people wanted Maria to be the Bachelorette, and it wouldn't be great if people are giving Jen hate just because they're like Team Maria. Maria's basically saying like that's not what she wants. Um, Jess says that Maria is going to get hitched to an A-list actress. Yeah. It looks like the filming for The Bachelor is starting right away. Um, she says it feels absolutely amazing. She always wanted to see Asian representation on screen. She doesn't see herself as the main character, which is really sad. She cannot help but think about how many people she can be inspiring. Yeah, so just the way she said it. Um, ready to shot a clock. Jessie is absolutely ready. Jessie takes it. No cheers. That was funny. Yeah, like Jen wanted to do a little cheers, and Jessie just takes a shot. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Maria takes over. Maria says Jen is amazing. The end. All right. So in the end, I think Joey really just crushed it. Got himself an amazing partner to go through this life with. I hope that they stick together. Um, Pretty cool. Charity's still with Dotton. Zach is still with Katie. We've got Joey and Kelsey A. So the series is definitely got some good couples. We've got the Golden Bachelor still with the woman that he picked, although I don't know her name. I didn't watch that. Um, I'd be curious. I should do some research and see if any of our Bachelor in Paradise couples are still together. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun going through The Bachelor. I think I will do a recap of Jen's Bachelorette season. I've enjoyed it enough that I want to kind of keep up with that. Um, I think the thing I'm going to pivot to now is finishing up the book series that I started, and then I'm not exactly sure where we'll go from here. But thank you for following along and for tuning in. It means a lot to me. Um, I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.